Okay, so this is me here 11 years ago, almost to the date. It was April 28th, and I was talking about like linguistics, syntax, semantics, phonology, and somebody in the audience actually asked me, so what is all of this good for? What can you do with that? And I'm happy to report after 11 years that I use all of this knowledge while working on language aspects of artificial intelligence. So that's really what my job is about. But before getting into the details, let's talk a little bit about artificial intelligence, or AI. This is this very complicated definition by EU. We are not going to go into details, but the important part, it's a machine-based system that infers or deduces, decides on the basis of input, different types of output, and in doing so, it mimics human thinking, human intelligence. That's why it's artificial intelligence. Now, there are many misconceptions about AI, which I think are important to clarify. One is this one, that AI is this humanoid robot who controls us and maybe one day will kill all of us. I'll leave that to philosophers, we are not there yet. Another very common misconception, recently people sort of, when they say AI, they mean ChatGPT. It's not the same thing. AI is a much broader term. ChatGPT is just one very specialized application based on AI. So that's also something important to be aware when people say they work on AI. It's much more than that. In fact, AI has been around for a while. So if you have spam filters, if you have these robotic, like Roomba cleaners, if you have thermostats that are smart and react to motion, or even if you have a bit better washing machine, that qualifies as an AI system. So you are all surrounded by AI already in your households, very likely. So as I said, AI is a very broad term. Very important subset of AI is machine learning. Machine learning is the part of AI which focuses on creating different computer models based on data, algorithms, and statistics. And then within machine learning, there is what is called deep learning. That's still machine learning, but has very special, sort of very complex architecture, which is called neural networks. Now, within that, there is generative AI. That's the type of AI which is about generating something novel, text, images, videos, audio. Within generative AI, there are large language models, which are only about language. So now we are getting to what I work on. And then there are many types of LLMs, or large language models. Everybody probably knows GPT, which has many versions, but there is also Gemini, there is Llama, Claude, Grok, DeepSeek, and many, many other smaller ones. They are typically owned by different companies. So what do I do in this area? I do three major things. I work on data labeling for machine learning. Like these days, I'm more than labeling. I manage people who actually do the labeling. Then I evaluate large language models because during the last 2-3 years, many companies moved from creating their own in-house models to creating solutions based on LLMs, because nothing else is really better or beating these days. So that's why that has been this shift. And then the last sort of very important part of my job is to evaluate AI outputs, not only based on if it's accurate or correct, but also is it like ethical? Is it something responsible? Does it follow these like sort of principles of responsible AI design? So I worked in these three companies. ServiceNow is based in Silicon Valley. Yext is based in New York City. So this is our headquarters in Chelsea, next to Chelsea Market. If you are around, let me know. I'm usually there on Wednesdays, so stop by. And because I work on AI and it's sort of very abstract, I don't have these great visuals like my colleagues do. So I'll show you a few pictures from our corporate building, if it's okay. So this is our desk, like entrance desk. This is a proof that even AI companies have humans to work there. They are not full of robots. Also, it's a very boring industrial building, so every floor is color-coded. It's different colors. So when you get off the elevator, you know what floor you're at. This was my favorite color, turquoise. Unfortunately, I work on a purple one. So this is my floor, and this is a proof that I work on AI. We have this label on the door. So this is my office, and this is my desk. Nothing special there, like sort of very simple. So what does company that I work for do? In very high level, we create what is called digital presence platform. So this is really something that for different brands, especially brands that have many locations over the US and in the world, like hundreds of locations, things of like Verizon, AutoZone, like these big like multinational corporations, we help them to manage their representation online and make them visible. And we have many tools to do that. I'm not going to go into details about all of them, but two things I'll briefly stop by is listings and search. So what is listings? Listings, this is the listings for Bohemia National Hall on Google Maps. I'm sure you probably saw it when you were searching how to get here. This is the one on Facebook. This is the one on Yelp. And there are like hundreds of publishers which publish information about different businesses. And what Yext does, it has solutions to make sure that the brand can control what is displayed about them on these publishers, including reviews and everything like synchronized opening hours and all that. The other thing we work on is search experience. So probably you noticed if you go to some branded webpage, there is this little search window where you can, again, search for stuff. And typically, or very often, it can be powered by Yext because this is something that we create, like machine learning models for. We have customers from different industries, hotels, financial, health. It's really great. I loved it because that means I get to work with different types of data, so it's never boring. It's not like sort of one limited area. And now I'm really getting to the end. So what do I do as a machine learning operations manager? I enter this machine learning pipeline at different stages, but it's mainly, in the beginning, I collaborate with data scientists to put the raw data together, then manage the annotators who label the data, give them the guidelines. Then we have this very thorough review process to get really good, clean data. That's really important because, as you know, garbage in, garbage out. So you're not going to have a good model if you don't have good data. So that's something I'm responsible for. And then sort of from the other perspective, if you, as an end user, enter some data into generative AI tools, somebody also needs to monitor that it's this responsible output. So that's something I already talked about. And this is really the last slide. What I do is part of research and development, and sometimes I even get to present it like outside of the company. So actually next week, you're welcome to come to Zurich to an international conference where me and my colleague will talk about how we implemented LLMs alongside humans in the data labeling process. So this sort of nicely closes the loop because after being this researcher, going to industry, I'm now doing research again, but sort of in a different industry setting. And this is my sentence of wisdom to conclude.